Hello everybody, welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Oana.
Okay, so we're going to talk about energy efficiency and how to make your home more energy efficient. We have a list of 29 items, so the only way you're going to get all of them is to watch the whole video. There's no cheating.
All right, so take your coffee up, set it down, and sip along while we go through this, because some are interesting, some are exciting, and some are, well, a little boring.
Right, but some of the good ones are further down, so you have to watch the whole video. Okay, first one, programmable thermostat.
Yay, I like those. So look, everybody can get a programmable thermostat nowadays, whether you go down to your local Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever your favorite place is, or Costco, and get a Nest or a Honeywell or whatever thermostat you like, or even your power company will supply you for free with a programmable thermostat.
Wi-Fi enabled, the whole thing.
Yes, you can control it from your phone, all kinds of good stuff. These are good things to have. And the reason that they're good is because they save you money. I like saving money. So you get to program it so that the heat or the air conditioner, whatever you need, comes on when it's appropriate and gets turned up or down as appropriate when you're gone. So that you're not heating or cooling your house to your comfort level when you're not around. So that makes it a good way for you to save some money, be a little green, and save some green.
Number two is managing your window coverings. So it's, the ones that face south in the summer, keep them closed throughout the day. Mm-hmm. It's a huge opportunity to help make your home more energy efficient.
Right. So, cover up the windows that get a lot of sun so you can keep some of that heat out. And then in the cooler months, cover up the windows that get a lot of cold. Maybe that they're a little drafty, to insulate your home a little bit against the cold. And that really does go a long way, both as far as just general sensation of draftiness and actually keeping your house more comfortable.
Another tip is making sure your ceiling fans spin in the proper direction. As a general rule, they should, in the warmer months, you want them blowing down, and in the cooler months, you want them pushing up.
Okay.
That's the general rule. Okay. The next one is be sure the heat vents are not covered or obstructed by furniture or curtains. Right.
So this happens a lot of times, even when you have heating vents in the ceiling, but it happens when you have heating vents on the floor. People end up putting a couch over their vent,
or carpet
or a desk or whatever, and now you're not getting the benefit of that air coming through. And then make sure that your vents are open so that the air can circulate and you can get that cool air or that warm air so that you can be more comfortable.
The next one is sealing cracks between you and the great outdoors.
Absolutely. So it's not hard to do. Even I can do it, and I'm not very handy.
You go by weather stripping and stuff.
Right. Yeah, so simple things like weather stripping, caulking, that sort of thing. It makes a big difference. When I was little, we had these rolls that were filled with either cotton or different material, and we put them against doorways that were maybe drafty, that led to the outside, and that was really helpful to keep the cold out. So all kinds of ways that you can keep your home better insulated and keep yourself more comfortable.
Replace your filters every month in your heating ventilation.
Absolutely. You don't want to breathe that gunk anyway. So replace your filters, because the harder your units work, the worse it is for you, both on energy efficiency and the life of that unit.
Adding insulation.
Yes, adding insulation is super easy. We all know the Pink Panther, right? So you can roll out some insulation in your attic or in your basement or your crawl space, and it makes a huge difference. There are companies that will come and they will do blow-in insulation in those spaces as well. So you might want to contact a contractor and figure out what would work best for you, what's most recommended, both price-wise and the difference that's going to make to the insulation factor of your home. I know that there's radiant barrier out there, and that's great. You can insulate with styrofoam, all kinds of things. So check out what your insulation needs are, where you need to insulate, and use the best method that makes sense for that location and for what you're trying to accomplish.
When you go on vacation, turn down your water heater, hot water heater.
So nobody does this. Like, nobody ever does this.
Yep.
But seriously, you guys, if you're going to be gone for 2 weeks, nobody's showering. So turn down your hot water heater. It doesn't need to be super hot while you're gone. There's no one showering. So, when you get home, pull in the garage, just crank it back up and you're good to go. That hot water will be hot before all your luggage is unpacked.
Speaking of water heater, insulate the pipe, the water pipe from the heater to where it goes into the wall.
Right, and then insulate the hot water heater too.
Yeah. Use bathroom exhaust fans as necessary.
Right.
Only as not, don't run them all the time.
Right. So, just as you don't want to leave all your lights running in the house when you're not in the room or when you're not at home, same thing with your fans. Don't leave them running when they don't need to be running.
Not necessarily energy efficient, but when you brush your teeth, turn off the water while you're brushing. Don't let it run.
Right. So if you're shaving, if you're brushing your teeth, if you're doing something like that, use the water that you're using. Then when you're not using the water, don't just let it run. Turn it off. Keep brushing your teeth or shaving, whatever you need to do. And then when you're finished, rinse and you're good. It's just a nice way to save a little bit of water, and every little bit helps. We live in the desert where water is very expensive, so we're very conscious of that.
If you've got an item that draws electricity even when you're not using it, and you don't use it very often, then unplug it and then only plug it in when you're actually using it.
Right,
Unless it's like really painful because like you have to reset a clock or something. So don't do that with your TV maybe.
Right.
But something that's like a high energy thing that is always sucking power even though you're not using it.
Right. So things like your hair dryer, or your electric razor, or your coffee maker, or your toaster, things like that, your blender that's just sitting there. Unplug them. If you're not using it, unplug it.
Close the damper in your fireplace when you're not using it. No one does. Everyone leaves it. Nobody
Right.
touches it.
Right. So
the air's going in and out of there.
Exactly. So there's a lot of cool air that comes through that fireplace. So it's really a heat suck as far as I'm concerned. So go ahead and close that damper so long as the fireplace is not in use.
Replacing your regular light bulbs with the LED light bulbs.
Yes. So the nice part about that is, number one, you save power, and number two, those things will last nearly forever and you don't have to keep changing light bulbs.
Keeping the inside doors going to rooms open to increase the circulation, ventilation, and making sure you don't get one room gets cold and then the house gets really hot trying to heat that one room.
Right. And that is particularly a thing if you have a thermostat. Like, for example, if one of the thermostats is in a bedroom and you keep that door closed, so you've got one temperature in that bedroom and a totally different temperature everywhere else in that zone. So you want to make sure that those zones, that entire zone is kind of equalized, and the way you do that is by keeping the doors open.
Putting carpets on the hardwood floors.
Right. So carpets keep our feet a little bit warmer. So that's a nice way to insulate and to make yourself more comfortable.
When you wash your clothes, wash most of them in cool or cold water.
Right. So washing your clothes in cool or cold water does two things. You're not using the energy for the hot water, and two, it actually saves your clothes because then the colors don't fade as fast.
Hang dry your clothes instead of throwing them in the dryer on high and then nuking them for 60 seconds.
Right.
Two benefits.
Right. So number one, you're not using the power to run the dryer, and number two, your clothes will actually last longer. If you dry them outside in the sun, even better, because now they'll smell fresh. If you dry them somewhere in the house, that's fine too. But your clothes will last longer, because honestly, scorching your clothes in the dryer really shortens their life.
Yep. Speaking of dryer and washer and dishwasher, don't do laundry or dishes unless the thing is full.
Right. This is one of my pet peeves. I want to make sure that whatever it is that we're running, it's full so that we get the most benefit out of it. Like I mentioned before, water is expensive in the desert, so we want to make sure that we get the most bang for the buck.
Cleaning the lint filter.
Yes.
After every time you do the laundry.
Right, so clean the lint filter for a couple of reasons. One, it makes the machine run better, and two, it's a fire hazard if you don't clean it out. So clean it out.
When you're baking, use the little light. Don't keep opening the door to check. Use the light and look inside.
Right, and then the other thing is, if you're baking something for maybe an hour or so, try turning the oven off a little bit earlier, maybe 5 or 10 minutes earlier, and don't open the door, because the oven will stay hot, right? And your food will continue to cook, and you're saving yourself a little bit of money, and maybe saving the environment just a little bit.
Maybe by little. Using the microwave instead of using cooking stuff on the stove.
Yeah, so this is really important, particularly if you're running the air conditioner, because if you're using the stove, that heats up the whole room, right? But if you're using the microwave, it doesn't heat up the whole room. And remember, you're trying to keep the room cool because you're running the air conditioner.
If you're cooking on the stove, using the appropriate, the burners are different sizes, using the appropriate burner for the size of the pot.
Right, use the appropriate burner for the size of the pot. And also keep in mind that if you put the lid on the pot, that also helps trap some of that heat and cook your food a little bit faster, so then you're using less energy.
Let leftovers cool before placing them in the fridge.
Yes, so it used to be that you wanted to not put hot foods in the fridge because of condensation, that sort of thing. Refrigerators have gotten a lot better, so that's no longer an issue. However, if you're putting hot food in the refrigerator, then the refrigerator has to work that much harder to keep cool. So you want to make sure that food cools off on the counter before you put it in the refrigerator.
Using the dishwasher saves 5 times as much water as washing by hand. 5 times.
So ladies, save your hands, save that manicure, put those dishes in the dishwasher.
Irrigation timer for your irrigation.
Right.
Your grass and your stuff.
Right, so, look, rather than putting the hose out there or some manual thing, have an irrigation timer for an automated irrigation system. Not only does it save you the time to not have to move the hose around or whatever, but now you're being methodical about it, and you're using water wisely, and you're able to just water the right amount to keep your landscaping going and not overwater and not pay for the extra water.
29 items. We got through them all. I don't know how long, maybe 10, 15 minutes.
So hopefully we saved you a couple bucks, and hopefully you learned something. If you like the video, please share it with your friends, like it, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.